Hi friends, it's story time, my favorite time of day. Let's sing our song together. Oh, I want to read with somebody. I want to read a book with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Okay, before we read our story, let's do a body check. You should be in Magic 5 so that you can stay safe and grow your brains. That means you're sitting on your bottom with your hands and feet to myself. You should be tracking the speaker and have a bubble in your mouth. Okay, everyone, turn on your listening ears. Good job. Let's talk about the elements of the story. What's written on the front cover of every book that tells us the name of the story? It's the title. Let's sing our song about the title. The title is the name. The title is the name. Every book has a name. The title is the name. What else is written on the front cover? How about the name of the author? What does the author do? The author writes the words. Author writes the words. And who draws the pictures? It's the illustrator. Illustrator draws the pictures. The name of the author and the name of the illustrator are written on the front cover, and so is the title. Inside the book, there are pages. On each page, there are pictures and there are words. These are the words. I can tell because words are made of letters. Okay, let's start our story. The title is Curious George's First Day of School. The author and illustrators are Margaret and H.A. Rays. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Friends, can you say curious? Let's clap that word. Curious. Count it. Curious. To be curious means you want to know lots of information and you are always asking questions. Remember, a question is what you ask when you want to know more information. A person who is curious always wants to know more. George is a very curious little monkey. Today, George was so excited he could barely eat his breakfast. You have a big day ahead of you, George, said his friend, the man with the yellow hat. I wonder why George is so excited. It was a big day for George. It was the first day of school, and he had been invited to be a special helper. George and his friend walked together to the schoolyard. Some of the children were nervous, but George could not wait for the fun to begin. In the classroom, George's friend introduced him to Mr. Apple. Thank you for inviting George to school today, the man with the yellow hat said to the teacher. Then he waved goodbye. Goodbye, George. Have a good day, George. I'll be back to pick you up after school. Friends, you go to school too. What do we do in our classroom? We do story time. We do centers, we do morning meeting, we do learning lab, we have recess and lunch. I wonder if Curious George will do the same things at school. I don't know if his school is the same as our school or if it is different. Let's keep reading and find out. The children were excited to have a monkey in class. Do we have a monkey in our class? No. Would you like to have a monkey in our class? I think it would be fun to have George the monkey in our classroom. The children were excited to have a monkey in their class. George is going to be our special helper, Mr. Apple told them. And what a helper he was. At story time, George read the book. We have story time in our classroom. Is that the same or different? That's the same. We have story time in our class, and the children in this story also have story time. That's the same thing. At story time, George held the book. At math time, the children could count on George. And at recess, George made sure everyone had a ball. We have recess in our class too. That's also the same. And a well-balanced snack. Do we eat snack at our school too? Yes, that's the same. It sounds like George's school is a lot like our school. After lunch, Mr. Apple got out paints and brushes. George saw red, yellow, and blue paint. 3 colors were not very many. George was curious. Could he help make more colors? Friends, have you ever made colors? We did that in our classroom, didn't we? We took the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and we mixed them together to make secondary colors. When we mixed red and yellow, it turned into orange. When we mixed yellow and blue, it turned into green. When we mixed red and blue, it turned into purple. George wants to mix the colors together to make new colors. Let's see what happens. First, George mixed red and blue to make purple. Next, George mixed red and yellow to make orange. Then George mixed yellow and blue to make green. Finally, George mixed all the colors to make... What color will he make when he puts them all together? A big mess! Oh no, look, George made a mess. If we make a mess, what should we do? We should clean it up, huh? That is the independent and responsible thing to do. The children thought the mess was funny, but Mr. Apple did not. Oh dear, he said, we are going to need something to clean this up. Everyone, please sit quietly while I look. George did not mean to make such a mess, and he certainly did not want to sit quietly. He wanted to help. It was his job, after all. George had an idea. In the hallway, George found a closet. In the closet, he found a bucket. In the bucket, he found just what he needed. A mop! George was on his way back to the classroom when he heard somebody yell. Stop! Stop! Where are you going with my mop? Ooh, I just heard some rhyming words. Let's read that sentence again. Remember, rhyming words sound the same at the end. The janitor said, Stop! Where are you going with my mop? The word stop rhymes with the word mop. Stop, mop. Those words sound the same at the end. Uh-oh, George took the mop. Stop! Stop! No running in the halls! We have that rule in our school too, don't we? We need to use our walking feet. The principal ran after the janitor, but George was going too fast to stop. He grabbed the doorway and swung inside and... Splash! The bucket tipped, the mop dropped, and George slid across the floor. Now the mess was even bigger. Mr. Apple looked surprised. The principal frowned. The janitor just shook his head. And George, poor George, he felt terrible. Maybe he was not such a good helper after all. The children felt terrible too, They did not like to see George looking so sad. They thought he was a great helper. Now they wanted to help him. So the children all lent a hand and some feet. What are they doing? They are cleaning up the mess, aren't they? Did all of the children make the mess? No, George made the mess by himself. But are all of the children helping their friend? Yeah, they are showing kindness by helping clean up a mess that they didn't even make. Friends, a lot of you do that in our classroom in centers time, especially when you clean up a mess even if you didn't make it. And that's a great way to get on purple, isn't it, and be a superstar. And before anyone knew it, the mess was gone. That little monkey sure is helpful, the janitor said. It looks like Mr. Apple has a whole class full of helpers, the principal added. At the end of the day, when George's friend arrived to pick him up, Mr. Apple said, "Thank you for all your help, George. We hope you will come help us again." The children cheered, "Yay, George!" They hoped George would come again, too. George waved goodbye to his new friends. Goodbye. What a great day it had been. He could not wait to go back to school. The end. If you liked my book, clap once. If you liked my book, clap twice. 3, 2, 1. That book was fun.